Welcome to the Spook Train. It's October, that's why I said that. And also, you know what's spooky?
What?
That I'm doing the intro.
Oh my gosh.
It's crazy.
So spooky.
I don't have anything else spooky.
Ooh.
In fact, Arkansas State didn't play football this week, and that's the spookiest thing is when they do play, because they're god-awful.
You want to know what's even spookier?
Ghosts, ghouls, goblins,
Yes.
zombies, vampires.
You're correct in all these things.
Werewolves.
Yes. I, who care nothing of football or sports, was in Fayetteville this weekend, where the University of Arkansas plays.
Yeah, and they lost.
Yeah, they did. I wasn't watching them.
Yeah, suck it.
I was in the middle of the woods near there.
Yeah, well, they lost anyway, so who cares?
Yay, who cares?
They've lost 3 straight.
Man, they were doing so good there for a minute, I think.
Yeah, they were ranked in the top 10, and I said, that's not going to last. And it sure didn't.
It didn't last. They're gone.
I think they're unranked now. Anyway.
Wow, how quickly to fall from glory.
Well, you lose 3 straight. That's going to happen. They may still be ranked. I don't even know. I just know Alabama's number 4, and it's garbage. It proves the rankings are bad. Anyway, let's talk about the story.
Yeah, because it's going to be long again.
All right, so this is part 2 of the Arkansas Hitchhike Killer. So quick recap of what happened towards the end of last week's episode.
And you mean 2 weeks ago? It's been 2 weeks.
Last episode.
Okay.
Which was 2 weeks ago. A fortnight ago.
A fortnight.
Basically, they got him.
Yeah.
They caught Red Hall.
Yep.
They're like, we know you did the thing, and we're gonna throw you in the jail. And they basically are like, He's going like, I didn't do nothing. You can't prove it.
Yeah.
Just like a character at the end of those detective shows.
For sure.
It's like, oh, that's a good story, but you don't have any proof,
you don't
detective.
have any proof that I did that.
And then they go, check out this .38 revolver that we found in your room.
Fingerprints all over it.
It was in your room, and it's the same gun used to kill some people. So anyway, he goes,
You got me.
Yep, you did it. I've been had. So we're gonna run through his confessions.
Oh my gosh. Confessions?
Oh yeah, because
plural.
He's suspected of multiple killings here.
Oh, okay.
His wife and several people who he had hitchhiked and then robbed and murdered.
Yes.
So
let us begin.
First of all, we're going to talk about Faye, who is his wife.
Yes.
He says that he took her to the Old River Road near the Riverside Golf Course, which is it's near a river, as you'd imagine, Old River Road. And
is it?
He says he beat her to death with his bare hands.
Oh my gosh. What a bad dude.
Agreed. Carl Hamilton, who was the bootlegger from Southern Arkansas.
Oh, yeah.
He said that he had gone down to meet him with the idea that he was going to rob him. And when Red pulled the .45 that belonged to a different person, as you'll recall, it was in that guy's car that he borrowed. It was a .45.
Yes.
He pulled it. And he says that Hamilton pulled a .38. Remember?
Yes, it was weird.
It was like, these murders seem similar, but different guns, so maybe they're not. It's because he used the .45, and he stole that .38.
Gotcha.
That .38 becomes the murder weapon in the future.
Okay, makes sense now.
Yeah. For E.C. Adams, who is the guy from Kansas who was moving to Camden, Arkansas. He's going to work at a munitions factory, and his family's going to come down later, that whole deal. He says that he flagged him down when he was in Little Rock, which checks out with what detectives had pretty much surmised was if he picked anybody up, it was between Little Rock and Camden, or wherever he was found. Probably in Little Rock. And you'll also remember that Adams had previously been robbed by a hitchhiker, and that's why his family is like, that doesn't make sense that he'd pick up another hitchhiker because he's been robbed before.
Right.
That seems silly. Why would he do that?
He learned his lesson.
Well, he felt pity on Red because it was February. It was like 20 degrees or something outside.
A little chilly.
And Red knew he'd get somebody to pick him up because they would feel sorry for him being all cold, and he's hunkered down and stuff.
Shivering and holding himself. And,
yeah. So E.C. Adams picked him up. He rode with E.C. Adams to just about Fordyce. And that's when he pulled the .38 that he had stolen.
He already had it on him.
He had the .38 at this point.
Okay.
The one he had stolen from the man he killed with the .45. The .45 belonged to Blaine, the other convict.
Gosh.
So now he's got his own gun that he doesn't have to borrow from somebody's car.
Wow. Okay.
Lesson learned, don't leave your gun in a car that you're going to let somebody borrow.
Don't do it.
Don't you do it. So he gets him to pull over the car, marches him 30 yards off the highway, and shoots him in the head. Red makes off with $26, 2 watches, and the suitcase. And Red sold one of the watches to a pawn store down in Alexandria, Louisiana.
Wow, you made it pretty far.
And the other one was it had an engraving with his initials, E.C. Adams' initials. Mm-hmm. So he figured he probably couldn't sell that without having it tracked back to him very easily.
Yeah.
So he just tossed it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, cool stuff. The suitcase had cigarettes in it, which Red sold. He didn't smoke. And he said...
He made a lot of money.
Yeah, probably. Probably not. They didn't tax them as hard as they do now. So, like, cigarettes are super expensive now.
Yeah.
They're probably just like, hey.
I rolled these myself.
Well, they're probably just handing them off to, like, 6-year-olds being like, smoke up, boy. We're just giving these away.
Yeah.
We're like drug dealers. We're gonna get you hooked, so you have to keep coming back. Just like in the movies. That probably doesn't really happen very often.
I don't know.
I don't know. That seems like a movie or TV thing. That seems like a thing from an afternoon special where they're like, they're gonna give you free crack, and then you're gonna be addicted, and you're gonna keep coming back. And I don't know if that's how that happens. Maybe sometimes.
That was a chair. Sorry.
And if you recall, there were 2 alarm clocks that he had, E.C. Adams, and he sold one of them to Corrine, who is the woman that had like a package that Red had sent her, and it contained some of the items that were missing from E.C. Adams, including that alarm clock. And the other one, he said he sold it to a stranger on the streets of Little Rock. Just like,
here you go.
Hey, buddy, you want an alarm clock? I got this.
It's not.
Don't even ask about it
at all.
I'll give you a deal. I won't even charge sales tax.
I'm really trying to get rid of it here.
So then we go to Doyle Mulherin, who was the truck driver.
What an Irish name.
Mulherin?
Doyle Mulherin.
It makes me, if it being Irish, it makes me think it's like Mulherin or something weird. Like,
Mulherin?
What's his name? Why can't I think of his name? The actor, Donald Gleason.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's like, the H is just there to confuse Americans or something.
Domenhall.
But yeah, it's just Donal. And he says the H is there to confuse Americans.
Mm-hmm.
So Red hitchhiked to Humnoke, which is where Mulherin ended up picking him up. When they were near Stuttgart, Red pulled the gun on Mulherin and made him stop. And then similarly to Adams, he forced him to march away from the vehicle and then shot him in the head.
Wow.
And Red took 4 billfolds and a purse from him. This is money he collected from doing deliveries because he's a truck driver. Mm. And he took some checks and the empty billfolds and just threw those in a ditch because it's like, these billfolds are empty. I don't need them. Mm-hmm. Toss them in a ditch. These checks, I can't take these. Toss them in a ditch. That's what I do with all my problems. Toss it in a ditch.
Yep.
There's one in my backyard. I just toss it in a ditch.
Just toss it back there. If anybody's looking for anything from Andrew's house, it's in the ditch.
Yeah, it's like trash. And trash days past, throw it in the ditch.
No, you don't.
Accidental dead body, throw it in the ditch.
Throw it in a ditch.
Yeah, I can't do that because otherwise it'll back up.
Clog up, yeah.
It'll clog up my ditch and into my neighbor's yard, and he already complains about that some. So anyway, I have to make sure the leaves don't get into the thing. It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
So he, Red, then drives Mulherin's truck through Stuttgart and then leaves it by some railroad tracks, which is, that's where they found it. Mm-hmm. And then he hitchhiked all the way back to Little Rock because that's where he lived. Mm-hmm. Jd Newcomb Jr., for this one, he took a bus from Little Rock to Levy, which is part of North Little Rock these days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It used to be its own separate town.
Yes.
Now it's just an area of North Little Rock.
Okay.
And he hitched away before being given a ride by Newcomb. And Red pulled his gun, forced Newcomb to stop the car. Newcomb jumped out of the car to try and escape, but Red grabbed him by his coattail, and they had a fight. They struggled, and Red ends up winning the struggle, forces him into the back seat, and shoots him.
Wow.
And Red also mentions that he saw somebody like drive by and slow down when they were having their fight, and then that person just drove on.
Ah.
I mean, what were they going to do? Probably nothing. Get shot. I don't know.
Probably, yeah.
So then he drives the car through north through Conway, looking for a body of water to put Newcomb's body.
Hey, there's one near Conway.
Yeah, that's the thing is like the book actually mentions like there's like the river and a lake and all this stuff. Yeah, he drives past Heber Springs and blows out a tire, and that's when he kind of like just decides to sort of give up. Drives to a fence and into the woods, steals Newcomb's money, watch, and coat, and then sets the car on fire.
God, this man.
They asked him, these police officers, these detectives, they're like, "Did you kill anybody else though? Like maybe some other people?" He says, "No."
Oh wait.
But then he's like, "Yeah. Back in 1938,
oh yeah,
when I was 17, he says, he killed a black woman in Salina, Kansas."
What? Why?
He claimed that he was coming back from a date when he was in Salina, because he went to Salina, Kansas, and he worked on like a farm for a while. One of his weird, like, I'm just going to go off to a place for a while. He says that he met this woman after the fact, and she drew a knife and tried to rob him, and then he beat her to death.
I'm going to go ahead and call bull.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Could be.
Oh, okay.
But it probably is. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
So they decide they're gonna go try and find where Faye's body is. Try.
Did he tell him where it was?
He told them, but they were like gonna take him out there to see if he could. Because I mean, it's like it's out in these woods somewhere.
Right.
Great.
Cool. It's a lot of expanse.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
So it took him a while to get out there because there were heavy rains and stuff. During the ride, they asked Red if Faye suspected he would kill her, and he's like, I don't think so. I was like, I feel like she would have, but maybe, I don't know. And when they asked him if he felt bad, he also said no. Just like, no, she was just in my way.
What a good guy.
Yeah, very cool guy. And they had like trouble finding, they get out there near the river, and they're having trouble finding where Red thinks he put her or whatever. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And he's like, he said things like looked different than when he was there, which I mean that would happen, I guess. I don't know.
How long had it been?
Oh gosh,
years.
It's been like maybe a year or so.
Okay.
Like not super long, but long enough that if you don't go there a lot, you know, it's gonna look real different.
Right.
So he also said that he didn't bury her. He just like left her.
Well, that doesn't bode well.
Yeah. So. He's basically like, I just left her there because I figured like animals would get her and drag her off. And also it flooded there a lot. He figured that would happen, but it hadn't flooded since that point in time. So, while they're searching, a man named Cecil Foster, who lived in the area, he sees all these people wandering about, and he's like, "What y'all doing?" And they're like, "We're looking for a dead body." And he's like, "Oh, cool thing. I found part of a skull in the woods 3 months ago."
What?
And he didn't tell anybody for some reason. And he's like, "Yeah, I also saw a jawbone in that area, but left it." And again, didn't tell anybody.
What?
What a weird thing.
So it looked vaguely human, so I figured it was okay.
I mean, he had like the main part of the skull. So like, and he was just like, "Yeah, this is just mine. I don't know."
It was a different time.
I guess.
It was a different time.
It sounds like even then they were like, "Why didn't you tell anybody, though?"
Yeah, you know.
Seems like a thing somebody should know about.
Huh.
He's like, "Yeah, I remember where I found it. Just follow me." So they get there and they find that jawbone he mentioned. Mm-hmm. And they search around some more and they find ribs, thigh bone, shin bone. They found brown hair.
Whoa.
Like Faye's. Parts of a red dress, which she was wearing that night that she disappeared. And they found her shoes, the ones that she had complained about. And but they never found the jewelry or purse that she would have had.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wonder where it went.
Yeah, exactly. Red says he didn't steal them.
Okay, sure.
But, Faye's family learns about what happened.
Yeah.
They basically say, like, Red, he's not going to feel any pain when he gets his,
Oh.
So that's kind of annoying to them.
Yeah. That she suffered.
When their daughter went through so much, probably.
Yeah. Almost guaranteed.
There's no quick way to be beat to death,
No.
I'm pretty sure.
No.
But yeah.
Could they tell when they autopsied, her remains that...
They had an idea, like, she had an overlapping tooth thing that was very distinctive, and that was present on the jawbone.
Gotcha.
But there was also, like, the hair was similar, and the red dress was like distinctive looking. Like it had like very different buttons than normal. Apparently, is one of the things they mentioned.
So they knew it was her.
Yeah, they're like, this is almost certainly her, and Red is like, this is roughly where I was.
Could they confirm her manner of death or like cause of death that he had? I mean, like, did she have any like fractures or anything?
I don't know if they had that capability at the time necessarily.
Okay. And of course, it doesn't sound like they recovered a full skeleton.
No, because like
skeleton remains.
Yeah, the way it sounds is it's not like they found a skeleton like fully formed,
right?
Like a Halloween skeleton or something. It was like scattered
animals.
a bit.
Animals had probably come in.
Animals, weather,
everything.
Yeah, all sorts of stuff. Newspapers are going to have a fun time with this one because it's a big weird story.
It is very convoluted.
And newspapers still mattered because it was it wasn't 20 years ago. It was even longer.
Yeah.
They put out information about some of the missing items that like Hall had taken from victims. See if like any of them would turn up somewhere.
Yeah.
Like one man's like, "Hey, I bought a clock off a guy in Little Rock
off the streets."
And they're like, "Oh, that's not the same clock though." But then another man called with the same story essentially. And it's like, "That is the clock." And it even has the dude's name on it.
What?
So they found that guy's clock.
What about the watch?
We'll get to the watch.
Okay.
That one that was sold. We'll get there.
Yeah, okay.
And the man who had the clock even was like, "Yeah, that redhead guy. He's the one who sold it to me." I remember him.
Was his name Red? Oh my god.
He probably didn't even know his name. He was like, "This is some big redheaded man."
Sounds right.
Yeah, people who knew Red for the most part were kind of like very surprised because, I don't know a single person that I know where if it turned out they were a serial killer, I'd just be like, "Yeah, it makes sense. I don't know."
Yeah, really.
there's
you don't want to be friends with those people.
Yeah, if there was anybody like that, I would not be friends with them.
That is correct, yeah.
But like, if it turned out, I was like, that's shocking.
Yeah.
So, his old landlady was flabbergasted because she lived under the same roof as a cold-blooded killer, and as you'll recall, she was even like, "I even left my door unlocked with him." Like, oh no. His coworkers thought he was kind of weird, but a nice guy, and he would help out when they needed help and stuff like that.
Nothing crazy.
Yeah, but his old schoolmates, they mentioned, were like, "No, he sucked. We never liked him.
Shit.
He was always looking for a fight. He was kind of a dick."
Mm-hmm. They knew what was up.
Yeah. A man from North Little Rock, which is north of the One True City, separated by a river.
Which is.
Yeah.
Kind of like Memphis, West Memphis.
Kind of, but not really. Because West Memphis, there's like that gap between it,
No.
Like you don't, if you're in downtown Memphis and you look across the Mississippi, you don't see West Memphis downtown.
Yeah.
Whereas like Little Rock downtown and North Little Rock downtown, you see them.
Each other.
Yeah. It's cool stuff.
It's like a farmland gap.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So it's like, it's not the same thing.
Yeah, okay. I give it to you.
Nobody's going to be like, "Hey, let's just walk across the river and go hang out in West Memphis." For one, because it's West Memphis, but what are you going to do?
Don't go there.
Man in North Little Rock, he's like, "I recognize this picture of Red in the newspaper. I gave him a ride the day that Mulherin was murdered." He said that Hall seemed nervous the whole time, wouldn't sit still, and he says that he bought some cigarettes from Red which are probably stolen.
It's the cigarettes, man.
He stopped at a store near Little Rock, saying that he had a headache and needed to rest. And he did this because he was suspicious of Red. He was like, I need to get this guy away.
Good call.
So Red ends up leaving that guy because they're in this public area and gets on a bus and goes wherever. And Red, he's like, yeah, there is that. Yeah, I knew that guy. I remember getting a ride from him. Mm-hmm. Thought about robbing him.
Oh my gosh.
But didn't. So, after helping to find Faye's remains, Red was granted 2 requests. He wanted the $24 that he had when he was arrested so he could buy some fruit and a Bible. And he said he wanted to, he was like, I want to prepare to go to heaven. Good luck. And yeah, he's like, I'm confident in my salvation. It's like, yeah, should you be though? I mean, I guess I don't make these decisions, but also you don't. So maybe don't be so confident.
Yeah, maybe step back a little bit, bro. You did just kill a bunch of people.
You're being a little cocky here.
Yeah, being a little bit confident.
So they take Red down to Stuttgart. And he's going to walk them through when he murdered Doyle Mulherin. Mm-hmm. On the way there, he's like commenting on hitchhikers they see and being like, they ain't getting picked up. They ain't as good as me. I got the charm, baby.
He must.
Obviously he did, I guess. Like, it seems like he was fairly charming to people.
Yeah. Until
they knew him too well.
Yeah. Like his classmates are like, no way, man. That guy's the worst.
Yeah. Says he had some difficulty finding the exact spot where he killed Mulherin, partially because it had been really rainy recently. Mm. So, like, the ditch is higher and some of the roads are even flooded and stuff. They went to, like, a storm sewer where they're like, this is where I threw Mulherin's keys to his truck. Mm-hmm. Threw them in there and get rid of them.
Didn't find them.
They didn't find them. And they learned that the drain had actually just been cleaned out.
Oh.
So.
Well. They're gone.
Yeah. They're like, you can go to the trash dump and look for it. And they're like, no, I don't think we're going to.
Thank you.
And they have a similar deal where they look for where he said he threw the wallets. They don't find those, and it's in another storm drain. And they're just like, we're not finding these.
Yeah,
it'll be fine. The next day, they have him retrace the murder of Jd Newcomb Jr. He's the one who they found in the car that was set on fire. He mentions how he had been looking for a body of water to put him, and basically he there's a part where he crosses a bridge over the Little Red River, and he says he thought about getting rid of the body there, but said it was too close to town, like he might get caught or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so does that. He points out where he blew out the tire to the Oldsmobile, and which is part of where he had to change plans, and so he never goes to a river and just does the thing where he sets the car on fire. Mm-hmm. As they're driving through and stuff, they actually stop at the courthouse in Heber Springs, and there's like a big crowd of like hundreds of people there, just like wanting to look at him.
Weird.
Just gawking.
Oh.
And there was even one man there who's holding a noose. He got chased off. They're like, get out of here.
You can't do that stuff.
They're like, go and get.
Can't do that. Even though he's an awful person. So
let the law handle it.
That's right.
Yeah, it says that Red seemed to enjoy the attention.
I bet he did.
Yeah. So then they take another trip down to Alexandria, Louisiana to further corroborate confessions he's made. And they saw it as an opportunity to try and get some of those things that he had stolen because he went to this he like sold it there.
Right.
But first they stopped at near Fordyce where Red talked about the murder of E.C. Adams, the guy from Kansas, and says that like after he had murdered him, he took Adams' suitcase and placed the stolen items in it and then hitched a ride to Camden and then showed them the pool hall where he left the suitcase. Like, I just left it there. So probably somebody was like, neat suitcase anyway. Mm-hmm. And nobody knows where that would go. Who knows? So they go down to Alexandria. They go to the jewelry store where Red had sold Adams' watch and a ring with a snake and Hindu design on it.
Whose was that?
So that's a good question. We actually don't know. It's a mystery.
Is there another person?
He claims he bought it And they're like, and of course, with everything else, it's like, sure you did, bud. Mm-hmm. So they get there to the store. The store owner recognizes Red Hall, saying that Hall had tried to pawn the items, but the store wasn't licensed as a pawn shop. So Red then gives this sob story, says his name is H.L. Wills, and he is from a place called Bunkie, Louisiana, and he needed the money for his friend that had been arrested for running a red light. Bunkie. It's up there with like Marmaduke. You can't say it in anything but a hillbilly accent.
Marmaduke.
Nope. You said whatever you said was not Marmaduke.
It's not the
You're
right.
You're not talking about the same town. I don't know what you're talking about.
Marmalade.
Marmaduke. So Marmaduke, this guy. So he's like, I'm from Bunkie, Louisiana.
Bunkie.
I need this money for my friend. He's been arrested, and he agreed to pay the store owner agrees to pay $25 to Red, with the idea being that Red would return and buy them back at the same price. But obviously, he never returned.
Go figure.
So, when they tried to get the watch, they said it had been loaned out to a customer while his was being repaired, but they would send it back to Little Rock whenever it was returned.
Did they get it?
I believe they did.
Oh, okay, cool.
But yeah, so like, yeah, Red's like, I'll totally pay you back. Don't even worry about it. And obviously, he just runs off and never comes back, or at least tried to never come back. Mm-hmm. But yeah, nobody knows where this ring came from. He says he bought it in Little Rock, but that seems wrong. Mm-hmm. So as they're driving back to Little Rock from Louisiana, Red says something real strange. He says, there were others. And so they're like, what do you mean? And he says, I killed others before Faye and the other 4 people who are these victims. And they're like, okay, like how many? He says a dozen came to his mind.
A dozen?
He says there's a man in Texas that he had killed in December.
I don't believe him.
And he's
making it up. I don't believe him. He's making it up.
He also claimed that he killed 10 Mexicans in Arizona in 1938.
Well, that wasn't nice.
No. And he said that there were more than that. They asked how many, and this is a weird way to phrase it, which is why I made sure to write it down. He said it was nearer 24 than 12.
Oh.
Which is a weird way to say a thing.
Maybe to mean like 2 dozen versus a dozen.
I guess so. But it's just a strange way to say it. It's like...
Why didn't you just say 2 dozen versus a dozen?
What's the price? Nearer 100 than 1.
Okay.
So it's 50 and a penny at least. I know that. All right, great. What a weird thing. And he said that if he told them about all the people he'd killed, they wouldn't believe him. Just like Caitlin already doesn't believe him.
I don't believe him. He's liking these field trips. I don't believe him.
Could be. So now they're like, okay, is there like a bunch of cold cases out there we got to deal with and like start calling other people? So they start taking his fingerprints and send them off to other states to see if they can find any matches. Mm-hmm. And they actually they're having trouble keeping up with, because there's a bunch of other people who've been killed potentially by hitchhikers in Oklahoma or Texas or Kansas or wherever.
People killed by hitchhikers?
Yes.
Okay. Not people killing the hitchhikers.
Right.
Okay.
And so they're sending those fingerprints off, and you can't just like digitally do it, I guess. Back then, you gotta.
Nope.
We're gonna put this in the mail or whatever.
Yep.
Somebody's gonna ride a horse to Salina, Kansas. I don't know.
We're trained. I think trains were around by then.
Maybe.
Okay.
They had cars also. That's how he's hitchhiking. So you just use a car.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
Don't
worry about it.
This is 1940s.
Don't even worry about it.
We literally had airplanes even. We were using them to bomb German cities.
Yeah,
we could do that.
That was sad.
So there's some officers come from Seminole, Oklahoma. And they're like, maybe Red killed this guy named Jim Owen. Been murdered back in 1940. And there were 4 murders also around Miami, Oklahoma, which were similar to the ones that Hall had did in Arkansas.
Miami, Oklahoma.
I'll have you know, Miami, Oklahoma is the capital of the Miami tribe. Caitlin, you insensitive jackass.
Well, what about Miami, Florida? Is there
about it? I don't know.
Is there Miami tribe down there?
I don't know what they named it after.
Okay.
Probably a tribe. Probably the same tribe. The Miami.
That's a pretty far stretch.
The Miami tribe is originally from like Ohio and Indiana.
Oh, that's a big stretch.
You know the Miami University that Kelly goes to in The Office when she thinks she's going to Florida?
Yeah.
It's named after that tribe. Fun fact. And then they obviously got moved to Oklahoma by the feds. And, there you go.
With all that stuff.
Yeah. You can read a different book about that or listen to a different podcast.
Ooh, Lord.
But yeah, Miami, Oklahoma, capital of the Miami tribe. Fun fact I know.
Okay.
So they go to him about those, and he's like, I don't have anything. I don't know what you're talking about. So they get a telegraph sent to inquire about a murder in Calvert, Texas, where a man had been murdered in a grocery store, robbed of his money and a watch. And Hall is like, I've never even been to Calvert, Texas. All right, great. Moving on. Mm-hmm. Texas Rangers come up and question Hall about 6 unsolved murders that had occurred in 1938. There was a double homicide in Van Horn, Texas, and then there were 2 different couples who had been murdered in New Mexico. And Hall was like, I don't know anything about any of those. Mm-hmm. And he was asked about some murders in Arkansas. There's one in Searcy County, one in Pulaski County, both in 1944, so in the time frame roughly. Mm-hmm. And he's like, nah, I didn't do any of those either.
You didn't do anything.
And there's a man killed near Kerr, Arkansas, and he's like, no, I don't know anything about that. But he brags at some point. He's like, I could have killed this guy in Little Rock, but I didn't. Like, okay.
Cool story,
you probably could have. Anybody can murder anybody.
Yeah, anybody can do it.
It's point and click interface. It's a gun. What are you talking about?
Cool story, bro.
They also asked him about his brother Gilmore, who disappeared.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know what happened to him. He ran off and probably got killed by somebody else. I'm like, all right, great.
Is that true?
We have no idea what happened to Gilmore.
Okay. We
never found out.
Okay.
So later on, Red says that part of the reason he killed Faye was that other than her giving him too much lip or whatever and spending too much of his money, he said that she knew too much because she went with him on a trip to Oregon when they hitchhiked. So it makes me wonder if he was like robbing people, maybe not necessarily murdering, but definitely robbing people to keep going, you know?
Yeah.
And she was probably just like, oh,
you're
fun
a bad
times.
guy.
But yeah, so he's like, I couldn't take a chance she would talk. But I was like, why didn't you do it at a different time? I don't know. Whatever. And he also talks about how he had a knack for getting people to trust him because he's just charming, I guess, for some reason. And says it's like it works. I can hitchhike easily for some reason, but but to me it just seems like he was mad at her because he was a jackass and a bad person, and he murdered her because of that. Yeah, those reasons seem more plausible. Yeah, because if it was like she knew too much, it was like leave her in Oregon and send that postcard that she actually sent. Like, what are you talking about?
Sorry, I got distracted. I was reading about the history of Miami.
Oh yeah,
don't worry about it.
What'd you learn? Anything interesting? Probably not.
You're so mean.
I don't know. Which one? The one in Florida? It'll be underwater. Don't worry about it.
For real, though.
Just wait a while.
Yeah.
So police tried their best to kind of suppress the claim by Red that there were more killings because they're like, this is going to just draw more attention. It's going to be a whole thing. And they didn't want to like potentially have the trials be delayed by trying to sort out more stuff. They're like, but the news gets out eventually, so they have to make a statement. They're like, yeah, he's a real piece of crap. What was this? Okay, here's this quote. It says, we may never be able to connect him to others, but I always will believe he had enough experience in killing that he had about reached the peak of perfection in being a murderizer. Yeah, it's a weird way to say it.
That's a weird way to say it.
I agree. He got to see his father. They hugged and they cried, or Red cried. It seems like his dad kind of sucked though too. Yeah. And Red's like, don't spend any money on the defense, Pops, because I'm super guilty. It'll be a waste of money, bud. Like, don't even. Yeah. And like, just pray for me. I mean, what's it gonna hurt? What's it gonna hurt if you do, right? It's gonna take a few seconds. Like, dear Lord, do what's right. I don't know.
Dear Lord, I kill people.
Lord, my son is a real piece of crap, but so am I. My bad.
Yeah, for real though.
he also, Red was like, I am not insane, so take that. You can't get me for being insane. And he's like, I don't know why I committed these crimes, but I just did. This is the thing I did.
I have a theory.
Yeah?
Head injury.
Could be. It's always possible.
Yep.
He talked to a reporter about the Mexicans he murdered in Arizona, supposedly. He said he worked on a ranch, and he would take them out into the desert, and he would kill and rob them. And
I can't imagine if they were migrant workers that they would have much money.
Much money, but also fewer people looking for them, sadly.
That's true.
And a lot of them would, like, they would either get deported, so nobody would be like, oh, what happened to him? Probably got deported. I don't know.
Right.
Or they would just go back home anyway on their own. Like, I made some money up in the States, come back home with some money. Mm-hmm. Cool. So, like, they would just disappear anyway, seemingly. So, just like, oh, I guess he just went back home. I don't know. Anyway, like, people would just go missing, and it's like, maybe they did, maybe they didn't.
Right.
And he says he didn't remember any of their names. But he also didn't know any of the names of the other people he killed, other than Faye. So it's like...
He didn't know any of them?
No. I mean, I guess... I mean, there might have been like a conversation when he's riding with them.
Hi, I'm...
Hey, name's E.C. Adams. And he's like, my name's G. Willikers Sanders.
By golly.
Yeah, like, okay. Like, he doesn't care. He says that during his first marriage, the one to Walsey, which is a name that might be pronounced right. Who's to say?
Oh, yeah, that one.
He says that he stopped killing people during that time. But then also it's like, what about all the times you just left for months at a time? What were you doing?
Yeah, I don't believe you, sir.
Maybe he was just robbing. I don't know.
Just robbing.
Robbing's just fine. Ever heard of Robin Hood? People love that guy. Ever seen?
He stole and gave to himself.
Yeah, so if I were to like steal from the rich and give to the poor, guess who's the poor? It's me.
It's true.
He said the first time he murdered anybody after the marriage was back in December. He killed a man in San Marcos, Texas. He says he beat him and robbed him.
God.
But they never try him for any of these other supposed murders because they don't find much, really. They have him... There's like a debate of like where they should try him because he's done this in like multiple counties and all that. And they decided to give Pulaski County the first crack at him because Faye is the one that they have the most like on him for, and they can get him. They can really get him. So that's like the strongest case. So we'll do that one first. It's kind of like we might cover it sometime, but there's like a case where somebody committed murders in like South Carolina and Arkansas, and they're like, well, South Carolina currently doesn't have the death penalty. Arkansas does. Let's do Arkansas.
Gotcha.
That's where we're going to do the first trial.
Gotcha.
One of those things. They felt like the case against him was the strongest, and they're like, and if it gets a death sentence, don't got to worry about the other ones.
Right.
We did it.
Right.
Moving on. He is officially charged with her murder on March 26th of 1945, transferred to the Tucker State Prison Farm, and he was there for 1 day before the judge ordered that he go a 30-day mental observation at the State Hospital for Nervous Diseases, a.k.a. the Arkansas State Hospital. That's what it's called now. The equivalent, anyway. I don't think it's the same building. This was requested by Red's attorney because Red's attorney wanted to do the insanity plea. And Red's like, I don't want to do that, though. They're like, just do the thing. It'll be fine.
Just a part of your defense. Just do it, man.
And he was supposed to stay there for 30 days. And the hospital people were like, we can't keep him, though. Our facilities are not adequate for keeping criminals because somebody else had escaped recently and gone and murdered somebody in Texarkana. So, again, we can't do this. You're going to have to do something else. So what they did was just they'd bring him by in the day, and a state trooper would stay with him and then take him back to jail at night. They just did that over and over again.
Wow.
And the hospital was like, we'll have the evaluation done within the 30 days so that we can make sure we're not wasting police resources on this. The evaluation was done in 20 days.
Okay.
And they're like, yeah, he's sane and suffers no psychosis.
He's sane, but that doesn't make him good or also just a Total psychopath.
All he has to do is know the difference between right and wrong, pretty much.
Yep.
Like, I mean, there's anybody who's going to be a serial killer. There's clearly something's wrong with them, but we're not going to just stick them in Arkham Asylum and let them escape like on Batman.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to put them in real jail and possibly a real electric chair.
Mm-hmm.
His only visitors before his trial begins are his dad and his attorney. And his attorney finally gets Red to agree to try and do the insanity plea. So not guilty by reason of insanity.
But he was showed sane.
He was showed sane, and he also was like, I'm not going to do that. And I guess his attorney's like, come on, man. Can you just, though? Would you just do it?
Just do it.
And he's like, fine. So Red then changes his tune, says he was coerced into confessing to the crimes. And, so they're going to do that. The jury is going to be sequestered. As you'd imagine, it's a big media trial.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta do that. The book describes the defense attorney's opening argument as being just as numerous as they were pointless. And it seems like this defense attorney was a real piece of work. There's a lot of very repetitive stuff in there because he's just like asking the same monotonous questions over and over again. The judge is like, move on.
Keep going, man.
Move along. We've already been over this. What are you doing?
Move along. Move a dog, little longy.
But they tried to claim that Red was abused by the officers. Part of the claim is that he was drug around by handcuffs. They dragged him around. But in his testimony,
you gotta get up and use your legs, buddy.
Yeah.
You don't want us to drag you around.
Well, that's the thing. In his testimony, he was like, well, I wasn't really dragged. It was just I was handcuffed to the officers, and they kept walking. They were kind of walking briskly, so I had to keep up, or else I would have been dragged. Like, okay, cool.
What an idiot.
Yeah, and the officers are like, we didn't do that. We didn't kick him or mistreat him or anything. And the prosecution was instructed not to bring up any of the confessions from the other murders because they were not material to this specific case. That's a thing in courts.
Yes, but I don't like that one in particular because all of his murders that he did are pretty important.
Yes, but you're trying him for this murder, not for all murders at once. You get it, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's what you gotta do. Yeah. So again, he's only on trial for Faye's murder. So the whole thing.
Okay.
They tried to get the confessions thrown out, and the judge is like, no, they're still in.
Yeah.
There was so much attention on this trial that the courtroom was filled to capacity to the point that people could not find seats.
Wow. They
were just standing, and then the judge is like, y'all stand and need to leave, though. This is too much.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, get out of here. There's a part in there where Red's landlord, from when he was living with Faye at that apartment, when she disappeared, he told the landlord that she had gone east, which is very different, if you'll recall, from the previous episode where he told everybody else she had gone west to California.
Rule number 1, you have to pick a story and stick to it, no matter what.
See, that's also it's like whatever the quote is, if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything, which is not totally accurate, but
mostly accurate.
It's accurate enough. It's more accurate than a lie.
Yes.
So, Red's attorney, he petitioned the judge for a directed verdict of acquittal, claiming that not enough evidence was provided that Faye was even dead. We don't even know if this is her that we found with the red dress that's very distinctive and the shoes that are distinctive and the brown hair that's just like hers and the jawbone that has the same tooth abnormality as she had.
And the fact
we don't even know.
And the fact that it was like, I dumped her right here. And oh my gosh, look, there's a body.
Yeah, but they're saying those confessions aren't real, or at least the defense is,
Boo.
Anyway, the judge is like, no, what? That's denied. Get on.
Go for him.
What are you even doing?
Don't be an idiot. You're a lawyer. Jeez.
This lawyer did not sound like he was very good, or at the very least, he was given an impossible case, and he just had to throw everything.
He was just BSing it, man.
He was throwing every dart at every wall possible.
He was like, "We're just gonna something's bound to stick."
I mean, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott.
There you go. And a lot of the defense's case for insanity hinged on Red's family history of mental issues because his mother, as you recall, was inbred. And like everybody else in her family, all of her siblings were all mentally handicapped in
yeah.
some fashion, and he had a sister that was mentally handicapped. And so they're like, clearly...
Because of the inbreeding, they think? Well, at least maybe his sister?
Potentially.
I'm sure his aunts and uncles, I guess, but...
Yeah. Like I said, all of his, like, mom's siblings were all messed up. Like, she was the only normal one, as far as I could tell.
Normal.
As normal as possible. There's also a part where a man from Conway came forward and said that he saw two men drive when he was driving, and he slowed the car to stop to see what was happening. And his wife was like,
"Go, go, 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 go!"
She's like, "Keep going. It's probably just some drunks. Who cares? Whatever."
Dang.
And as they drove on, they saw that same car pass them on the highway, speeding by, and they only saw one man in that car. And so you'll recall.
And they didn't go back and check on the other dude.
Well, no, and they wouldn't have found him. He was in the back of that car.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they wouldn't have found him. Trial comes to a conclusion. The jury deliberates for 40 minutes before returning a verdict.
That's not that long.
Nope. That is like... That's like, hey, we all agree, right?
We're going to all take a bathroom break. We'll be right back.
That's like, hey, we all agree, right? Yes. Cool. Let's... bathroom break. Let's have some snacks first, and we'll go back.
We'll pretend for a little bit, and then we'll go back in.
Exactly. It's like, hey, I need a drink real quick, and then we'll go.
Everybody grab you a snack, get some lemonade, and then we'll go back in.
Yeah. So they say guilty with no recommendation of clemency.
Good.
On May 14th, 1945, Red is sentenced to die in the electric chair. The date of his death is set to be June 29th. But of course, it's delayed because of appeals.
Of course.
Every time.
Yes.
Other than like Ronald Gene Simmons.
Yes.
The verdict was upheld. They said, get this out of here.
Do it.
New execution date is set for January 4th, 1946. And while on death row, Red Hall, he's got more of his BS to throw out there. He's like, actually, it was two other people that committed the hitchhike murders. And I was just covering for them because they're my buddies.
Yeah.
And I thought they would come and save me, but they didn't.
Yeah, okay.
And nobody believed him, and he didn't say anything else about it because it's like, oh, I'm not getting the attention I wanted.
The story didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to.
No. For his final meal, he asked for fresh strawberries, but there weren't any fresh available. So they gave him strawberry ice cream instead, and steak and pork chops. Attendance to his execution.
Wait, that's it?
Yeah.
Oh, that was kind of lame.
Sorry. It's not like...
it's not your fault. It's his fault.
It's not like the Mad Dog guy who was like, I'm going to take the steak for all it's worth and get everything.
Yeah.
Attendance is limited to his execution to 64 people, which seems like a lot.
A lot of people. Is that like press included in that number?
Yes.
Okay.
It's mostly made up of police and reporters and the like. There were at least 15 people who had to be turned away. Like, go away.
That's not too bad.
At 7:15 a.m., they flipped the switch on old Sparky, and he is pronounced dead 7 minutes later. And he is buried at Marcus Hill Cemetery in Enola, Arkansas.
Oh my gosh, I know somebody from there.
Yes, we talked about that.
Yeah, we did.
There's a picture of his gravestone in the book. Also, his death mask, which is a weird thing.
Ooh, wow, that is odd.
Yeah.
Where's it at? Where's his death mask at?
Oh, it says in the book. I don't remember. But they stopped making them in like the 60s.
But it's kept in a museum or an archive somewhere?
It's at the old State House.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere. Okay. I don't know if it's on display, because I was there not that long ago. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's on display necessarily, but it's there somewhere. Maybe just in their archives.
Very interesting, huh?
Yeah. His funeral was attended by about 30 to 40 people. Not a lot of people.
Probably
just family and stuff. I mean, that's a low number, so it's probably just family for the most part. Yeah, it's weird that this is not more well known because of what a big, weird, crazy deal it is. I think part of it is, the book talks about this a little bit, about how unknown this story.
Yes, I've never heard of it.
Because it's like, and part of it's probably because like World War II was happening during all of this. So that was probably overshadowing it a bit.
That's true.
It's before TV really took off.
24-hour media was not a thing.
Yeah, there's no, there wasn't the fascination with true crime in the way it is now, especially.
Right.
So yeah, just a big thank you to Janie Nesbitt Jones because she literally wrote the book on this.
Yes.
The only book there is, as far as I know.
She writes some good stuff. Again, she's with AY Magazine or has done many articles that we have gotten information from through AY Magazine. She's very good, very thorough. So, yes, thank you.
Yeah. This has been on the list since around the time we started the show. Mm-hmm. But there was so little information, it wasn't worth doing. But it was weird because it's like there was a hitchhiker killing people in Arkansas. He killed at least 4 people. Seems like there should be something about this.
Right.
And there wasn't. And then one day I was looking through again, and it's like, there's a book coming out in March of whenever it was.
This year.
It was this year, I think. Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right.
And then you found it.
Put a pin in that. I'm just waiting for that book.
And then who knew that it would lead to a 2-parter?
The first ever. And there's so much more in the book that I've left out. There's stories of other murders that maybe he did. Mm-hmm. But he's like, he never said he did them.
Right.
So there's interesting stuff there. What else about this? But yeah, it's one that's I'm just surprised there wasn't much on.
Yeah, no kidding.
I rented it from the library, so get it from your library, and then I bought a copy myself. Figured I should have one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But the library copy lets me read it on my iPad, which I can set up on a stand, and it's easier to look at that and then type at the same time than using a book.
Yes, very much so.
So that's why I made sure to keep my library copy. Also, shout out to whoever got the next loan. I returned it early recently, and it said one person was waiting. So shout out to you, whoever you is.
That one person who was waiting.
Yeah, you didn't have to wait long because again, returned it early.
Look at you.
You're all welcome. That one wasn't as long, I don't think, but yeah, there we go.
Wow. Thank you, Andrew. Good story.
Thank you.
Thank you for how thorough it was.
Thank you, Janie Nesbitt Jones.
You're
Without
welcome.
you, this episode literally doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. You did all the work.
I think I mentioned this last episode, but when I was looking through this again, just see if there's any other internet articles or whatever.
Nothing.
And it was an AY article. I was like, oh, let's look at that. Oh, it's an excerpt from the book. Never mind.
Oh, it's Janie Jones. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Literally just an excerpt from the book. That's fine. We'll move on then. I'll just keep this iPad open instead.
Well, very cool. Thank you for that, Andrew. Very interesting.
It was my pleasure.
Now I guess let's see what you been doing, what you talking about, what you watching.
What you looking at?
Yeah, that's the one.
First of all, how many Star Wars is? 1.
You
nailed it. I watched Lego Star Wars Terrifying Tales.
I love Lego stuff. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's very silly. I'm probably outside the age range to really appreciate it and how silly it is.
I
don't think it doesn't have the crossover appeal like the Lego movie had. I don't think.
Okay.
I think this is very much in the wheelhouse of this is for children.
Oh, okay.
Basically, the story of this one is it's after the end of the sequel trilogy. So after the First Order's been beaten, because Poe Dameron is in this, and there's a Hutt character. I don't remember his first name.
Jabba.
It's not Jabba because he's been dead for 30 years by this point.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm turning Darth Vader's castle on Mustafar into a hotel. And then they have stories about some of the artifacts in there, and they're spooky, but whatever.
That's
it's Lego.
Silly.
It is very silly. So yeah, I watched that. It's fine. I finished Adventure Time.
Good for you.
It's really good.
Yes.
I haven't watched the HBO specials, the Distant Land series, which I believe it's 4 episodes and they're all an hour long.
That's pretty lengthy.
They're all an hour long. I think it's 4 episodes. I don't remember. That concluded in September, so not long ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
You told me about that.
Yeah, I'm going to watch those first.
I think you're a more devoted fan than I am because I haven't seen the very ends of Adventure Time before the HBO stuff. So I'm not even finished with it.
Wait, you haven't finished the series at all?
Not to the very end.
That blows my mind.
That was a foot on a chair.
You're like the one who's always... You've been yelling at me about Adventure Time for literally years.
I know.
I think one of those specials is mostly about BMO, so maybe be careful.
I
haven't watched it, though.
I don't like BMO.
But yeah, BMO's all right. You're just a hater. Again, we've discussed this. You were like, BMO's the worst. You're wrong. It's Lemon Grab.
Oh, Lemon Grab. Yeah.
Though there is a part that's pretty funny in the last episode with Lemon Grab where...
Don't tell me.
I'm not going to tell you too much, but it's very funny. They're getting ready for... I don't know how...
I might have seen it. I don't know.
I'm trying to...
It's been a long time.
Have you seen when like Bubblegum is fighting with her uncle?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever see like the final episode of that?
I think so.
Okay, well that's the end of the show.
Oh, then I think I've seen it.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, without spoiling too much, but there's a part where they're getting ready to go to this war with Princess Bubblegum versus her uncle, aunt, and cousin, which she created, so she's really like the mother of all of them. It's weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
And to show their power, they like throw out a lemon, and then this big robot shoots the lemon, and you see Lemongrab just kind of nonchalantly pull out a note, write in it, hands it to Princess Bubblegum, and just says, "Unmake me."
Oh God.
Which I think is very funny. It's the funniest thing Lemongrab ever did.
Lemongrab is such a sad character.
He's exhausting though. But what have you got?
Well, I've already discussed some of this with you. House of the Dragon. Did we talk about that?
What is that? I've heard of that.
It's the new Game of Thrones show.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah. How dare you?
Oh yeah. Let me just go find all the people who still love Game of Thrones.
I still love Game of Thrones.
No, you don't.
Minus the last episode. You know what? It's whatever. I'm disappointed, but it's fine. It was a conclusion. Whatever.
It was a conclusion. What a sell that is.
But this is like the precursor, which a bunch of the stories have already alluded to a bunch of the stuff. So hopefully it can be built a little better.
It's about the people like
the Mad
Daenerys.
King,
is that her name?
Well, yeah, her
Isn't
family.
That the dragon?
Her family.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, Dune comes out next week. Excited about that one.
Let's all watch the original.
You know, I used to watch. The only reason why I know about Dune is because I watched it a lot when I was a kid. It was a favorite of my dad's, and we watched it multiple times.
Heard it's very bad and very different from the books, though. So
I wouldn't know. It is weird, and I remember thinking that as a kid. I was like, I don't get it, but I'm still watching it. It was a big sandworm thing. Let's see. Shout out to Andrew, this guy right here, watching my house this weekend and my dogs.
I sure did.
And they were good boys.
I broke your TV.
But then you fixed it.
Yeah, it wasn't actually broken. It just had to be unplugged.
That's
it was
right.
fine.
Did you try turning it off and back on again?
It was basically that.
Yeah.
I did do that first. I turned it off, and then it wouldn't turn back on.
Oh, no.
And then I had to unplug it, and then it turned back on.
And then it turned back on.
Before I plugged it in, though. That's weird.
Spooky.
There's the spooky story.
There it is. Also went to the Scottish Festival, the Lyon College Scottish Festival last weekend with my niece and nephew. It got really hot, I think unseasonably so. I got fried. Nobody else did. Nobody else I was with got even remotely sunburned. I got fried. What's up with that?
Still say there's something wrong with you.
There must be. Literally, there must be. Anyway, so of course I loved it. Bagpipes and kilts and tartan and Highland games. I mean, it's just right up my freaking alley. And the kids, not so much. Would you expect that from a 7 and a 4-year-old?
They don't like a bunch of weird crap that isn't Fortnite or whatever.
Exactly. They don't. It doesn't involve an iPad, and they don't. They got cranky real fast.
You sound like such a boomer. These kids and their iPads.
But honestly,
Fortniting around.
But Hallie kept saying, "Can we go back and play Minecraft Dungeon?" And she kept asking, I want to play Minecraft Dungeon. We're like, no, we're here. We're doing this. You'll look back on this and thank us, okay? But I was really disappointed. It wasn't like years past. There wasn't as many vendors. It was kind of oddly late. It wasn't like the last times I went. But they're like, I let the kids pick out a gift. We go somewhere cool like that. I'll get them a little trinket, a little something. Not like a toy, but like something that they can remember the event by that they can keep reusing. So I got Hallie. She picked out some earrings that she wanted, and so we got that for Hallie. And then there's a vendor that's normally there, and he's a guy that makes toy, like wooden shields and wooden swords for kids there. And he'll paint them and decorate them. Anyways, it's real fun, and it's a real popular thing. That guy wasn't there this year. A lot of the vendors weren't there this year. So I was like, well, we'll go back to the chick that we bought the earrings from, because it was one of like 3 vendors that actually sold anything, like trinkets or anything. It wasn't very many. Anyway, and so I was like, okay, Tristan, well, do you want a pretty rock? Because she sold crystals, and I was like, I don't know what else to get this kid. And his sister got earrings. So I was like, Tristan, do you want a pretty rock? He was like, yeah. And so I was like, okay, you can pick one out. You can pick one out. Sissy got to pick hers. You get to pick one. And he picked up the crystal, and it was shaped like a green leaf.
Oh.
Of the pot variety.
Okay.
And I was like, that's the one you want? He's like, it's a leaf, KK. It's a leaf. And I was like, it sure is, baby. He has no idea. He's a kid. To him, it is a pretty green stone leaf. And I was like,
yeah, you get stoned.
Stop. He is a child. But anyways, I was like, well, okay.
I'm just trying to support his interests.
All he saw was a green leaf, and it was a rock, and it was cool because the rock was shaped like a leaf. And so I let him get it. I don't know if that makes me a bad person, but I kind of realized it more after the fact. I was like, I think this is a pot leaf. But, I was like, he doesn't know. It doesn't matter. Kid thinks it's a cool rock.
Yeah. He'll learn one day, maybe. If it's still around when he's old enough.
He'll be like, KK, did you buy this for me when I was a kid? I was like, yeah, you had no idea. It's fine. It's fine.
It's like, now I'm enamored with this. And this is all I'm about.
Now I love pot.
This is my whole thing.
No.
This is my personality now.
Oh, man. So it was, that was fun. That's what's going on. Started a new audiobook.
Is it about the Holocaust again?
No, less depressing. It's Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman.
Okay, heard of him. Yeah.
Yeah. So far it's pretty good. It's kind of like other world magic kind of stuff.
Stuff that Neil Gaiman does, like.
Yeah.
Because he did Sandman.
Yes.
Which I know you liked.
I did like Sandman. I think there's a second one now, but I haven't listened to it. It's
a second Sandman?
Yeah, like
that's
story recording. And I think they're making a show about it.
They are. I've watched the trailer.
Oh.
So it's happening.
Cool.
And
It'll be good.
I need to read that comic.
Yeah.
I've never actually read it, but it's on Comixology, so I might do that.
Oh my gosh. It better be pretty cool. What else you got?
I watched What We Do in the Shadows, the TV show.
Yes.
I already watched the movie. So
yeah.
Did that. I think we talked about that last episode.
Yes, I think so.
It's pretty good. It's on it airs on FX.
Yes.
It is available on Hulu. There's 3 seasons. They're still in the 3rd season. Each season is only 10 episodes each. So you can really breeze through those. Like I watched the first season in one day, the second season in one day, and then what was available, the 3rd season, in one day, which was 8 episodes. So there's 2 more to go.
Okay.
They haven't released. It stars Matt Berry, who you may not recognize that name, but we've talked about him before, and you're like, oh yeah, that guy.
Yes.
He's in IT Crowd, Toast to London, Darth Marenghi's Dark Place.
Yes.
Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. He's very funny. I don't know hardly any of the other people on it, like the character Nandor, who's like one of the main vampires. I don't know who that guy is. I don't know who.
Yeah, the girl
Naja is. Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen her in anything.
They're funny though.
They're very funny. It does have the guy from The Office who is Nate.
Yes.
He's an energy vampire.
Oh.
So he just goes to people and like talks their ear off about just the most mundane garbage, and then like it drains them, and you'll see his eyes glow and they just like all fall asleep or whatever. There's a lot of great cameos in that show. Who is that lady that I like with the big teeth? Vanessa Bayer. She's in an episode.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
She's an emotional vampire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they date for a little bit.
That's funny.
And, I guess this takes place in the same universe as the movie.
Oh, okay.
Because Jermaine Clement, Taika Waititi, and the other guy that are in the movie, they show up in an episode.
That's amazing.
They're part of the Vampiric Council.
Yes.
Also, there is Tilda Swinton.
Yeah, she's a part of it, too.
Yeah, and her name is Tilda. Paul Rubens, who you may know as Pee Wee Herman.
Oh.
He's there. His name is Paul. Danny Trejo, his name is Danny. They're all just
so
like their same names. Yeah. Evan Rachel Wood is there. She's from True Blood.
Yeah.
And
she's in Westworld.
Yeah. And then there's Wesley Snipes is there on a Skype call, and they're all like complaining about him being there in the first place. Yeah. He kills vampires in the Blade movies.
Isn't he a vampire that kills vampires?
Yes. He's a daywalker. So like there's like a bunch of sun coming through and on his Skype call.
Like
they're like, why is he even here? Like, he's a part of the council. Just what it is.
That's funny.
I'm trying to think. There's definitely other cameos. Jermaine shows up in 2 episodes. He shows up like in another one later, and I think
Jermaine
and
so
Taika
much.
Waititi does too.
So good.
And Kristen Shaw's in it.
Of course.
That same episode, that's the one with all of the Vampiric Council. Kristen Shaw's in it, and also Dave Bautista's in it.
Dave Bautista.
Yeah, he's just like a random character. I was like, is that him? Well,
it's because I bet Taika got him in there from all the
Avengers stuff,
Yeah,
Marvel stuff. It
yeah.
could be, yeah. But yeah, that show's really good. Check it out.
I need to watch it. I love the movie.
Yeah, the show's pretty good. I've been playing Metroid Dread.
What's that?
It is a Metroid game.
What you do?
Metroid games are 2D platformers, and you explore a bunch and you shoot stuff. Oh, you should play it.
You lost me.
It's yeah, 2D platformers. Who likes those? Only like have you ever heard of Mario?
Yeah, no, maybe.
2D is like side scrolling, Caitlin.
Yeah, I don't.
Minecraft is not a 2D side scroller. Like, what are you talking about?
Oh, okay, I see. I thought you meant 2-dimensional versus like
3D is like that Zelda game you play, Breath of the Wild. That's 3D.
Okay.
2D is like old Mario.
Okay.
Like the
The
assets are
paper,
3D.
like paper kind of.
Well, even like Super Mario Brothers 1, Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario World, whatever. But like, it's basically it's you're running on a 2D plane, though like the graphics are 3D.
Yeah, I know. I know what you're saying.
That game's real good. It controls really well. That's the best part. Like that's what I want in games. I want them to control well.
Yeah,
it's one of the things like
you look for that.
What was it? Fall Guys. You're like, you play Fall Guys? And I was like, I tried to. It sucked. It controls terribly. I hate it.
Yes.
Sports games all control terribly. I hate them.
Yeah. Glitchy.
They're just
lagging.
It's like, okay, I want to move here. If you play, say, Metroid Dread, you hit left, you go left, instant, and it's like it feels crisp and great. You hit jump, you jump. You can wall jump real easy. It's really, really nice. Great movement. You play something like Fall Guys, and they're like these wibbly wobbly jelly bean men, and they don't move right, and it sucks, and I hate it. Metroid Dread's pretty good. The only thing I don't like is there's this zone called the Emmy Zone, EMMI. I don't remember what that stands for. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
So these unkillable robots.
Ugh.
You go in that zone, you just have to run, and the running's pretty good. It controls really well, but if you get caught, it's like a 90% chance that you're going to die because you have like a chance to counter it, but timing is weird. That's the only part I don't like, but it's a relatively small part of the game. But like Metroid games, they're built to where it's like you get a power up, and now suddenly you can go to this new area, or like you get a power up, and it's like I've been here, but now I can get to a different part of that area. So like one of the main lessons I would teach you if you ever played a Metroid game or Metroid-like game is if you hit a wall and you're like, I don't know what to do. What do I do here? The answer is you need a different thing. So just go somewhere else for a while.
That's almost like the Lego games because like you can play like thinking about like Lego Harry Potter. You go through and you play as basically one or two characters, and you initially start with like Harry and I don't know, Hermione or something. I don't remember. But every person has a different skill set that they can use. And so like you can be playing through the levels initially and there's different things you can see that you look like you're supposed to be able to interact with, but you can't. It's because you don't have that special power. Yeah. And then you go back and play it with when you get all these unlock all these characters with these different abilities, and then you go back and play it. That's
like the toughest thing to like. It's one of the best lessons you can learn. But yeah, it's like, is there a way for me to do this? And the answer is no.
Yeah.
There actually is no way you can do this.
No.
You need to go to a different part of the map. The map is really good. It shows you where you've been, and it shows you like all that stuff. And it's like, here's my hot tip. If you look at a door on the map and it has a question mark or something, it means you can't do anything.
Just leave.
If it says phase beam, go there and shoot the phase beam at it. You're good.
Okay.
But before you have the phase beam, it's just going to be question marks. That means you can't do nothing. Don't even worry about it.
Just leave it.
Exactly. It's a hard thing to like put away for a bit. It takes some learning to do. The game's like pretty hard. I beat it, but I've seen a lot of people complaining about it being hard. What I would say is it is for the bosses, it is all pattern recognition and execution. And the one thing that they do weird in Metroid for controls is the double jump. It's not like tap tap like whenever you can double jump, and actually you can like infinite jump, but you have to time it a certain way.
Well, that's annoying.
Yeah, but it is an infinite jump, which is pretty good.
I guess so. Yeah.
But you just have to like get that timing.
You have to
and
like
execution.
jump. Wait a second. Jump.
Yeah, you have to wait until like essentially when she's doing her spin, as she's starting just starting to descend, that's when you do that's when the jump is available. You can't do it like while you're ascending and stuff.
Weird.
But it takes a little getting used to. But yeah, like every boss fight, it is, it took me a long time to get through a lot of them, but it does put you like right by the boss fight after you die instead of going to your save point, wherever that might be, which is helpful.
Yep.
And like I said, it's pattern recognition execution. You have to learn the pattern.
Just like the Lego games.
You're going to die a bunch, but once you figure it out and execute properly, like there was never a boss fight where it was close. It wasn't like, oh, I got so close to winning that one. It was either I got the crap kicked out of me or I won so hard I may as well have not gotten hit.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I got this down. I'm going and going. Yeah. So it can't be that hard. I beat it. So
you're good. You're good at games, though. You're good at that.
There's all these games out there that are like, these are the hard games, like the Demon Souls games. I'm just like, no thanks.
Yeah.
But this game, I played through it, and it can't be that hard. Okay. There's a hard mode I unlocked after beating it, so...
You gonna go back and do it?
No, I'm doing normal mode again to see if I can get a better time.
Gotcha.
It took me like 12 hours, and I only got like 60% items, when I was seeing people online getting like 100% items, 10 hours. I'm like, well, I suck.
Well, something I didn't do right.
Yeah, I just took... Well, there were some parts where I got lost and didn't know what I was doing. That game's pretty good. Check it out. Also been playing Resident Evil 2 still. Yeah. Going very slowly because it's exhausting for me to do.
Okay. Because it's scary.
Yeah. Yeah. It also has a lot of Metroid type stuff where it's like, here's the key that is shaped like a shamrock. Bet you're going to find a key that's shamrock shaped and you're going to put it in that keyhole and then you'll get through that door finally.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's all I got.
I have one last thing to talk about and you know what it is.
I don't.
Oh,
but I probably will when you say it.
I'll
go, oh, right.
Yeah, we talked about right before him. I'm obsessed with the show Bluey.
Oh, this thing.
It means a lot to me. It's very near and dear to my heart now. It wasn't before last week, but it is now. Bluey is, as this guy on TikTok that I follow describes it, it is a parenting show that children happen to like. It's like a kid show, but it's very much has like good lessons for parents about how to deal with certain situations and how to be kind to your kids and not treat them the way you want to be treated, and not getting frustrated. Anyways, it's a beautiful show.
Don't treat your kids like the Reverend did to his son Red Hall, who grew up to be a serial killer.
That is correct. And they're Australian, and I love that. And it's little kids with Australian accents, and it's so cute. But the dad is named Bandit, the mom is Chili, and then there's two sisters, Bingo and Bluey.
Well, if Chili is there, then where's T-Boz and Lefty?
I don't...
TLC. Oh. The band.
Nope, that's...
Or whatever.
Nope.
There's T-Boz, Lefty, and Chili.
Well, okay, but that's not this.
So T-Boz and Lefty are not there?
No.
Chili just left them behind.
Yep.
Pretty messed up.
Chili's in Australia, and she's Australian, and she's a sheepdog now. Anyways, it's so sweet. It's so good. Like I'll tell you about I didn't tell you about this. The episode that I cried on. It was one where Bluey goes camping with her family, and she meets a friend, and he speaks French, and he's camping with his family as well. So they end up becoming friends, even though there's a language barrier. They end up becoming friends, and they play together. And then all of a sudden, one day, Jean-Luc, her friend, isn't there to play anymore, and Bluey's very, very sad about it. And so she's talking to her mom late at night. They're out camping. She's talking. She said, "Mom, why did Jean-Luc have to go away?" She said, well, sometimes people come into our lives for a short time and, we have a wonderful time with them and we have something beautiful with them, and then they have to leave. And it's sad. And Bluey's upset. And she's like, but we can think back about the good times and remember the good times, even though it's sad that they left. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, just like sitting on the couch, just like... That's really true, Chili. You're so right. And I was like crying. I was crying. I was like, why am I crying at this show? But it was really beautiful. Hard lessons, and explains it in a really sweet way. And it's a way for parents. It gives them a kind of like a map of kind of like how to explain tough things to kids. There's one, I haven't seen it, but I know there's an episode kind of about divorce where they touch on divorce because that's a hard one for kids. I told you about. There's a moment in one of the episodes where.
Oh yeah, this part's real messed up.
No, it's not. It is sad, but that's why it's called a parenting show that kids happen to like. But Bingo and Bluey are putting on a little play for their mom and dad, and they imagine it's the play of like how their mom and dad met and loved each other and everything. And then Bingo one of them has a balloon up their shirt, and they're like, and then mom and dad fell in love, and then mommy got pregnant, and then the balloon pops. And like it's a blue balloon. You can see it fall to the floor. And then Bandit, the dad, reaches over. It's very subtle. Bandit, the dad, reaches over to the mom and grabs her hand. It's like indicating that Chili had a miscarriage. And it's like a kid is not going to pick up on that at all. But I don't know. It's just such a good show. It's so sweet. It's so precious. And those 2 episodes I cried on. But I tweeted about it. The exciting part is I tweeted about it, and Bluey, the TV show, the official account, liked my tweet. And I was like, oh my gosh. It's so exciting.
That's way better than when I tweeted about Texas A&M being bad at football and some 2 MAGA people were like liking my tweet. I'm like, who are these people?
Get out of here. Blocking you.
I just muted them, which is...
Yeah.
They didn't say anything to me, but, who cares?
Just, yeah, you don't want them to come back around.
Or at least if they do, I don't see it. That's how muting works.
Oh, okay.
That's my general theory on when I see people who annoy me on Twitter, or if they come at me with something dumb, I just mute them.
Yeah.
So if they want to say anything else, they can. I won't see it.
Yeah.
They're just shouting into the void, basically. Because, especially because there are a lot of people, like when you block them on Twitter, they see that as like, haha, I was too real for you, bud. You couldn't handle how raw my takes were.
Yeah.
It's like,
Shut up.
It's just like you sucked.
I don't want to hear you. You're dumb.
Or like some people you see get blocked, and it's like they tweeted at somebody like 100 times in a day, like an insane person. It's like,
that's weird.
I can't believe they blocked me. It's like,
you're kind of a psychopath.
You're being a psychopath. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, that's why I usually just mute people.
Yeah.
But not that this comes up very often for me. It's happened like twice.
But I was very happy. I said my tweet was, kept my niece and nephew this weekend and watched official Bluey TV with them. Never have I cried at a children's show, but I did twice in one sitting. I'm in love with the show. And they liked my tweet, and now I'm so happy. It's almost exciting as when HLN liked one of our Paint the Town Dead tweets or something, and then that one wrestle reporter.
Chris Van Vliet. He doesn't just do wrestling, but it is a thing he has done. He's even wrestled, like wrestled on the indies back in the day.
He like tweeted back about us or something.
Yeah, he followed us, and Caitlin was like, who's this Chris Van Vliet? That's how you spelled it. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know who you're talking about, until I was like thinking for a minute. I was like, did she even spell it? Is it Chris? It's Chris Van Vliet. I know who that is.
Oh, yeah.
That's fun.
I was like, there's somebody with an official logo by their name, and they're following us. Who is it?
And they had like thousands upon thousands of followers.
Yes, and I was like, I don't know who this man is. Andrew's like, don't worry, I got it covered.
That's right. And I made a tweet about it, and he put a smiley face reply.
Yeah, he did. Retweet. Woo, fame.
Or an intern did. I don't know who does it.
Yeah.
He's probably busy.
It's fine. Anyways, that's all I got this week, I think.
I think that's good enough for me.
Okay.
Yeah. You got any spooky suggestions? I didn't watch anything spooky other than like that Star Wars thing that's not spooky.
Just Midnight Mass. You gotta watch it.
I need to watch that. I've heard some more people recommend it.
And then, just as always, Haunting of Hill House. Literally talked about it this weekend when I was at the cabin with some folks, talking about how good it was. We watched Hocus Pocus and Nightmare Before Christmas, so that was good.
Okay.
That's it. I really don't have any spookies.
Yeah. I don't know what to suggest. Treehouse of Horror. They probably put that playlist back on Disney Plus again.
Oh, yeah.
That one that I suggested, and they put it.
And they did.
Because
should have trademarked it, man.
Yeah, Disney listens to the podcast, I guess.
Disney?
They stole my idea.
Oh my gosh, Disney, you should have said something.
That's right. You should have asked me about Star Wars stuff. I would have helped you out so you didn't make Rise of Skywalker.
Ooh, okay. Now we're trashing them. Ixnay.
They know what they did.
Ixnay.
They've been trying to fix it. That's why they're making all these other shows and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, Paint the Town Dead. Thank you so much for listening. Like and share wherever. Mm-hmm. Leave reviews. That supposedly helps things. I don't know.
Rate 5 stars if you can.
Yeah.
Like, share, comment.
Unless it's out of 10 stars, then give us 10.
Then 10, yes, please.
I don't know what all the rating systems on every podcast platform is. Give us the best one.
Please.
This is a 5-star show. Just like Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, is a 5-star machine. He's a wrestler. He had a match with Minoru Suzuki, and it was the freaking best.
Minoru.
Minoru.
Oh, okay.
He's like my favorite. When I grow up, I want to be like him.
Okay.
Because he just beats up young people.
Oh, good.
He's like in his 50s.
He sounds like a nice man.
He's awesome. I love him so much.
Okay.
He does this great move. Well, I'm not going to talk about it.
Okay, next time.
He does a great forearm move where it just kills people, and it's hilarious. Like, it looked like he hit Danielson with it.
Funny.
And it looked like Danielson had like been shot in the head with a gun. He like went down so hard. It was awesome.
It's hilarious.
Love Suzuki. He's the best. Anyway, yeah. Despite
this is Paint the Town Dead. Oh yeah.
We talk about wrestling sometimes.
Yeah.
Despite what you just heard, still give us a good review. Even just be like, sometimes that one guy, he's terrible, but still.
But yeah, and then sometimes that one girl should narrate cat videos, but
which still is a weird comment. I don't know. Comment. I like it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're on Twitter at PTTD Pod, Facebook Paint the Town Dead. Instagram, Paint the Town Dead, all one word. TikTok is what? PTTD Pod?
I think so.
Who cares? We haven't done anything on there. Gmail, email us at pttdpod@gmail.com. You can tell us everything we did wrong or right or great or bad or whatever you got. If you have a story and you're like, hey, this reminds me of a thing, you can send it there. That's fine. We'll read it.
Yep.
We don't get that many emails.
Nope.
So we'll see it. I assure you.
And you can message us on any platform. We'll also see it there.
Yeah, we've
more Facebook and stuff messages like that.
Yeah, we've gotten several Facebook messages which we have referenced on the show at various points because people had more context to provide that we would not have had otherwise, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was.
So do that if you have that.
Yeah.
What else? Is that everything? Did I name all the things?
That is literally everything. You got it.
Literally everything.
Literally.
So I guess we'll end it.
Okay. Guys, have a safe couple of weeks. We'll see you back with another story then. Goodbye.
Bye.